Welcome everyone to Overcome Podcast episode 31. It's been a long way to be here today to talk with my friend Jonathan Irizarry. Thank you very much for being here today, my friend.
Hey, it's my pleasure, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we talk about overcoming, people that see you nowadays, huge, fully developed, they sometimes take it for granted how long it took for you to get there, right? So let's go from the beginning and tell us a little bit more about what you really had to overcome to get into this shape. Is more about genetics? Is more about hard work? Is a combination of both? What really you think it takes more to develop
Oh
from
man,
in this stage?
definitely a combination of both. Nothing is going to allow you to get to this position, where I've kind of reached physically without having good genetics for bodybuilding. But the aspect of hard work and consistency over, extended years cannot be discounted. I started bodybuilding, working. I've been weight training and just training my body since I was like 12 years old. I was a kid. I remember my mother taking me to 24-hour fitness every day, during the week, and I'd be stuck in the kids club, always wishing that I can be out there, working out. And then as soon as they were able to, give me a gym membership, I signed up immediately. It's like the bare minimum age. So yeah, I started very young. Even prior to that, I was involved in like boot camps and stuff with some of the high schools that actually host these boot camps for the kids in elementary and middle school. And it
Hmm.
was just like having us do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, mile long runs, things like that. And I was always involved in this. So just the physical aspect of training my body, um, it's something that I've enjoyed since I was a kid.
And you touched on a very important point, which is consistency. And as a coach, you probably see a lot of your clients. Some will be very successful, some will not be, and probably the ones that are not is because they are not able to put the work in a consistent manner, right?
Yep, totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. You'll see those who check in consistently, are providing feedback, communicating with you, are usually the ones that are going to be the ones that are, making the most progress and getting what they want out of the process. Um, and I get it. It's a lot. A lot of this is mental. It's hard to be able to shift from, one particular lifestyle. We can call it the American way. The westernized, food that we've all been, kind of indoctrinated into consuming on a daily basis.
Hmm.
It's hard to be able to shift away from that and get into a more healthier lifestyle. This is why, like, my main approach with a lot of the lifestyle clients that I take on, it's to incorporate, tracking macros and getting them to understand food from a different perspective so that they don't necessarily say that there is good or bad food. Although I do believe that there is good or bad food.
Hmm.
We have to kind of be able to take away that sort of mindset and context when it comes to nutrition so that they can ease their way into, consuming better quality food on a more consistent basis. And that's going to be really the chunk of it all. Um, because if you're not consistent, if you're not in tune with your body, then the likelihood of you being able to maintain something for an extended period is very slim.
Yeah, true, true. And when I met you in 2011 at Metroflex Plano. You were already big, 10 years ago.
Yep.
So when do you actually started gaining muscle mass? It took you some years to get on that size.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you before 2011, so I've never
Yeah.
met you small.
That was so. I 2011. I did the collegiate nationals. So I'd won. I won. I weighed in at 223. So I was a little bit smaller than obviously than I am now. Um, but that's not small by any means. I had been
Hmm.
prepping, and I did my first show at 16 years old. So 2007, no, sorry, 2006 was the very first bodybuilding show that I ever did as a teenager. So I had already been competing for 5 years, even at that
Wow.
point when I first met you. So. my body had been able to progress over time, and especially after my teenage years, and my body started taking shape. And but even then, like my physique now compared to then is much more complete.
Yeah,
So
more mature, more complete, as you said. So before you've done the first competition when you were 16, how many years were you training at that point? I mean,
man, so
training like seriously.
yo, seriously, I've been training for a year. So I started. So this is all random, man. And I believe in angels, messengers. God just puts people in your way to drive you in a particular direction, and that's who this person was. I had been standing outside the gym one day when I was 15 years old. I remember it was the middle of August because it was right before the Southwest USA. This is actually, yeah, it was still the Southwest USA before they changed it to the Europa. Um, I've been standing outside wearing a tank top like this, and I'm probably like 170 pounds, at the time. But this guy walks up to me. He was like, "Hey, man," introduces himself. I can't remember his name. Let's call him Michael. So this guy named Michael walks up and introduces himself and is like, "Hey, man, have you ever, considered doing bodybuilding?" And at the time, like, all I knew was Muscle and Fitness magazines. My mom had, stacks. We're talking about years of the subscriptions in the living room. So I would read those and I would look into it, but it wasn't like me looking at bodybuilding from a competitive standpoint. I'd been
Hmm.
involved in sports up to that time, so I was towards the tail end of my sports career. At that time, I was playing tennis, and I didn't really care so much for the tennis coach. He was just a bit of an asshole, man, and we just didn't get along very well. So I was kind of stepping away from it, and I kind of needed something to fill in that void at the time. And this guy walks up to me at the perfect time. Um, so yeah, I decided to go to the show that weekend. He was competing. Didn't see him again. Like I said, everyone looks totally different with their tans on, so I couldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
But what intrigued me the most, it was a pro-am. But what intrigued me the most were the amateurs, the guys that were, some, people that I could relate to. They were, obviously much smaller size. I wasn't so much into the pro level of bodybuilding at that time, but obviously your perspective tends to get skewed over time. The deeper
Hmm.
we get involved into it. Um, but yeah, that's what actually motivated me. I saw that and I was like, wow, like this is cool. Like I've never seen this before. And the first poster I saw for a bodybuilding show the following year was the Ronnie Coleman Classic. That's whenever bodybuilding wasn't, it's still, obviously it wasn't as mainstream as it is today. But they still allowed for these shows to kind of get promoted in some of the commercial gyms. So I saw the freaking poster, man, and I was like, dude, I want to do this. And at that time, I actually ran into Ronnie Coleman's best friend, this short little guy. His name is Lee. Um, and he's the one that introduced me to Metroflex Gym, Arlington, the OG gym. He introduced me to Brian Dobson, so I went over there. That was the first time I ever went through some posing. Was with them two, him and Rendy. Rendy, he owns the Metroflex Fort Worth. Yeah, so this is the OG crowd, man, over at Metroflex Arlington. That's what got me involved. So I
Then 1 year later, you competed.
said again.
Then 1 year later, you competed.
Well, yeah, 2006. So when I met the guy was 2005. 2006 is whenever I did my first show. I was a junior in high school. I placed fourth out of fifth place in the teen division.
Hmm.
Had no idea what the hell I was doing. Couldn't pose for shit. But it was it was a great experience. And me being the competitive person that I am, could not take a loss very well. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back, sign up again for this next year, and do it all over again. I ended up winning the next
Nice.
year. Yeah,
Oh, you end up winning next year?
yeah, yeah. So I did the Europa the
Nice.
following year, and I won the teen, and then I got fourth place in the novice. Yeah.
That's awesome. And fast forward, how did you get into Metroflex Plano?
Man, so I ran into Greg, over the years involved in bodybuilding, um, and then because of Joe LaBelle, rest in peace. Joe LaBelle is the guy that had introduced me to Greg, and I got acquainted with him. So whenever I moved over to Dallas, I believe I was 19 at the time, is whenever I finally moved up from living in Grand Prairie, Mansfield. Um, yeah, Greg had just opened up the location. So I kind of just dropped in, and Greg has always been an amazing friend, man. Just gave me the opportunity to go train there, get connected with the guys, Steve Kuklo, and
Yeah.
everybody, and that's, man, the OG spot, Metroflex Plano, was amazing, man. It was great camaraderie,
Yes.
the hole in the wall, but I mean the environment was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, and over the years you've been improving a lot. But I was looking to your competition history, unless I didn't find something newer. But it looks like your last competition was 2018. Is that correct? It was the Olympia Amateur.
2018, yeah, place. I actually did it fully vegan. Completely
Yes, I
plant based.
remember
Yeah.
that.
So, yeah, man, that was the last one. I was gonna compete last year, but obviously, all the shows and stuff started getting canceled.
Mhm.
But this year's the year. This year we're gonna
So
come back.
2018, you did fully vegan, and okay, so let's talk about that because I
Yeah.
remember you evangelizing a lot about this. So how was your experience, and what really make you change back to your old style,
Man,
nutrition?
I enjoyed it. I felt good. I felt fresh. I think what made me transition back was, I just I didn't want to allow myself to let my nutrition be some sort of religion, and I felt
Hmm.
like that's kind of what it kind of was, and that's not what I went down that route for. It was more so like, for me to just experience something different, and the vegan crowd says that you can look the same and be just as good. And I didn't believe, after having gone through it for myself personally, and this is not to say that somebody else can't, but for me personally, I didn't believe that I could get the same results. I didn't feel the same. I didn't hold the same fullness to my muscle bellies. Um, and I don't know, like towards the end there, my workouts and training started to kind of suffer a little bit. And it could have been just the fact that, I mean, I tried I like to experiment, so I did definitely experimented with a lot of things. Um, but like towards the beginning, it felt great. I was strong, and I felt like I was still being able to keep up with everything. But towards the end there, I didn't feel the same way, and I did it for like over 2 years, almost 2 years. So after
How was your energy level?
like I felt great. I felt light, but I think just because the other thing was like being able to separate nutrients from one source to another, it just became overly difficult. And then, I love to travel. Me, I'm traveling to different countries. I've gone to Bangkok, Thailand multiple times, Vietnam. I travel to Denmark often. So I'm everywhere, and it's just like I didn't want to. Like, it was just difficult to try to like be able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Fully.
You want to
Um,
experience the food where the place you're going. You want to have
exactly.
the freedom to experience that.
100%. I'm very much into cultural things, and that was another thing. I felt like I was missing out a little bit. And this is not to to dog anyone that goes down this route for their lifestyle, but it just wasn't for me. I feel great health wise. All my health markers have always been good, no matter what route of nutrition I ever took. It didn't make a difference, for me. Just looking at my blood markers and stuff from previous, during the vegan journey, and after. So I can't
Yeah,
say it
yeah,
benefited me.
that is very interesting.
Yeah,
Many people say that they should look better as a vegan, but you didn't see any difference.
I didn't. I actually felt like I look worse, and I can see that my body again looks different. It has much more fullness, and I believe that just the food sources in general play a factor in that. Being able to have some really good quality protein sources as opposed to relying on soy, the plant-based powder. So which I still use. Don't get me wrong, but it's very limiting. It's very limiting, and I believe that the body just utilizes the animal protein sources much more. I guess you could
Optimal,
say, yeah, much more
optimal.
optimal. Correct,
Yeah.
correct, exactly.
I was looking at the pictures from 2018 and comparing a little bit with the 2016 North American that you did in 2016, and it looks to me that 2016 you were more sharp.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure if this is because of the diet, but it was clearly to me that in 2016 you were more sharp and the condition was better. That's another question. Is it harder to get that crispy condition under a vegan diet?
I would say so, man. Because I mean, it's like you're like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gotten clients shredded in a vegan diet, but it's just the food sources makes it difficult because if you want to go low carb, then soy is going to be the route, right? But now you have it's a fatty source. It's a fatty protein source. If you want something that's low fat, then you'd have to rely on seitan. Seitan is basically pure gluten. I just couldn't see myself consuming gluten 24/7. And then, of course, there's still tag along carbohydrates. Other sources that you would find are, beans, lentils, things like that, which also have a lot of tag along carbs along with it. So, and then you're relying a lot on protein powders, and I like.
It's a lot of more work. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's a lot more work to calculate all that and to get
yeah,
it
exactly.
precisely.
Yeah, it's just a lot of thinking, man. The way we do it now, simple, easy, effective. Clearly, it's been there's a lot there's a lot of info and years of experience for myself personally, client experience, and just everyone in general. Period. Can see that we can definitely make things a lot more optimally done this way, and I feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2018, when you did the whole prep vegan, and then it was right after 2018 that you were like, man, I will transition back. You did transition back right after the show, or was 2019 already?
It was in 2019. It was actually whenever I was in Bangkok because so it was just a funny experience, man. So I only brought about I think it was like a kilo of protein with me. And, I'm running these shakes all day. And I went out to eat with a buddy of mine. And after this day, he almost refused to hang out with me because it took us 2 hours to find a place to eat some food that I could eat food, and I felt like, holy crap, this is really stupid, and it's like, and I can see how this can ruin friendships and stuff, man, where all we had to do is go to a Korean restaurant across the street and just, eat the food there. Again, just something that was open late at night. And, but no, we had to search and search and search and search. And it was getting to the point, it was getting so late. Yeah. He refused to hang out with me again after that. So that kind of made me think twice about everything. And then I was actually meeting up with another friend that I had met out there in Bangkok, and he was actually vegan for 4 years. And I was like, hey, let's go meet at this spot. He told me, no way. He's like, if we're going to link up and get food, we're going to get some sushi. And then I was like, all right, you know what? It's done. I'm getting sushi with you. And then that was it. Yeah.
No, that makes total sense, man. Mainly for you, as you said, you travel a lot. You want to experience the culture. You want to experience the dishes from the local dishes. So it make no sense to drive 2 hours looking for the
No,
same food
exactly.
that you eat here in America.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's following this sort of lifestyle. It actually takes away culture, in my opinion. And I'm such a cultural person. I love to experience culture when I visit somewhere. I believe that is a huge part of the experience of traveling to other places and getting
Yeah.
to know these people more, right? Getting to
Hmm.
understand their lifestyle. And that's a big part of it. Food is everything.
Yeah.
And it
No,
makes life easier.
absolutely. Much easier, much easier. The flexibility that you have, uh, and you don't have to count macros because steak is steak everywhere. And so
Exactly.
you kind of have an idea how much you're eating. Is much
Right.
easier for sure.
100%. 100%. And I mean, honestly, since then, I've been good. I'm happy. I've been enjoying life. And I haven't had to deal with another experience like that again, losing a friend over some food. I mean, he's a good friend, man. So I felt kind of bad.
Oh wow! I'm pretty sure that he is very happy that you're back to your
Oh, yeah,
old self.
definitely. Definitely. We actually went out to eat. Because I went to Chiang Mai after that, which is like on the northern part of Thailand. And then whenever I came back, he finally decided. Then we had a Korean barbecue, and it was nice.
Nice, nice, nice. Uh, as you said, you like to do a lot of experiments, right? Is that only on the food perspective, or also on the exercise perspective? You are more traditional, old school, heavyweight, or do you also believe in low volume and more squeezing the muscle? Do you also try different approach when it
Oh,
comes to training?
100%. 100%. So, getting into bodybuilding initially, I was very much into like just the bro split. That's all that I was kind of like, uh, built my knowledge base from reading the magazines and stuff. I didn't really have anyone to really help me. I went to school for nutrition, so I didn't go to school for like, kinesiology, exercise science. It wasn't like my biggest thing, although I did get certifications along the way and studied it a bit more. And then, of course, just overall experience, nonetheless, is what has allowed me to be able to progress my thinking when it comes to training. So I hired John Meadows. This was in 21. He was the first coach that I ever hired for training, and he completely changed my perspective when it came to training. It was more so just like I was more on the lower volume end prior to that. He gave me the programs were much more higher volume, but also, obviously, heavyweight, right? So it was definitely a combination. I would almost say it's like power building per se, because you're still being able to base your programming off of the basic movements, but you're not straying away from what bodybuilding is, and
Hmm.
focusing on hypertrophy uh, for the bulk of the programming. So that allowed me to then actually, man, my physique transformed quite a bit actually from the time that I hired him for my training, and then kind of moving forward from there. But over the years, I've tried different splits: push, pull, legs. Upper body, lower body split. I've never done like a total body split. It's not something
Hmm.
that I've ever been keen to doing. I don't know. Every time I think about it, it makes me just like, I don't feel like spending 2 hours, like 2.5 hours in the gym, doing everything.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm opposed to it. Um, so what I've been doing now over the last, I would say, 2 years is kind of a mixture of like a push pull leg split, but at the same time, it's like kind of like has a little bit of Dorian Yates kind of style involved. So it is lower volume. So what we do is essentially we build up to our top sets, right? And this is how I'm able to progress. But you're making sure that your form and technique is not being compromised. So you want to make sure that your form and technique is always on point. You're still being able to contract the muscle fully, and
Hmm.
your the intensity with these working sets is through the roof. We're looking at RPE 10, right? You're going to failure every single time. And then from that top set, then we can back off, roughly 20-25% on the weight. And then now with this one, you're focusing even more on being able to contract the muscle. Form and technique is still super on point, but you're not taking the beating. Because the thing is, your body can only handle that maximum load for one set. It's not able to match that sort of intensity and load for an additional set. So you have to be able to back off and still be able to do it. So that's how we're able to be able to keep the overall volume intact. So you're doing about 2 sets. And then if I want to add more volume, then I would obviously add another back off set. But this allows me to progress with my training when it comes to adding additional weight to these specific lifts while still getting the overall volume within the training.
But is it true to assume that to implement this type of training, you need a training partner because since you are going to fail, you need someone to help, or can you do this by yourself?
Oh, you can absolutely do it by yourself. Does it absolutely help to have a training partner? 100%. Because and then you can literally get that extra oomph, right? So let's say if you're failing on that last rep and you're midway through, you're not able to really push it all the way by yourself, then of course your training partner is going to be able to give you that extra boost to be able to finish off that rep. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it on your own. At the end of the day, it's just whatever you have available to you within that specific, training session. It's like, but the intensity should always be there.
And because a lot of people they have hard time, and you probably have a lot of clients that think that way, that they are not able to push hard if they are on their own, and they say, "Well, Jonathan, for you it's easy because you always have a training partner." So, what is the message that you give for these people that say, "Well, Jonathan, for you that have a training partner, it's always easy to push further"?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
isn't you not always have a training partner?
no, exactly. It's not true. I don't train by I train by myself actually a lot. So half the time I'm training alone. Half the time I have a partner. Because these are the days that we have set for us to be able to get together, and then the other days. So I know I make sure that the heavier days. So I do heavy load at the beginning of the week, and then more volume based load at the end of the week. So it's more like the pump workouts and then strength building workouts. So during the pump ones, I don't necessarily feel like I would need a training partner. Does it, again, is there a benefit to it? 100%, because you're sharing energy, right? You
Hmm.
guys are giving each other that boost. You're loud and in your ear. Of course, we are. Maybe some people aren't that way, but we're feeding off that energy from each other,
Yeah,
and we're definitely probably going to get an extra few reps. Where
yeah,
if you're by yourself, unless you're somebody like ourselves, maybe you're not going to. But it doesn't mean that the intensity isn't always going to be there, and that's what needs to be that's what always needs to be intact is intensity. Because here's another thing too, is that not every workout are we going to progress, right? There's
yep,
going to be points that we're going to reach sticking points, but as long as you're making sure that you're giving it your all, your body doesn't know any different, right? Your body can
right,
still be
right.
able to progress over time.
It's more your mind.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Um, when uh, when you are right now at this stage of your career and your physical attributes, and you start prepping, are you looking to a 20 weeks prep, 16 weeks prep, or you try to stay kind of lean all year long so that you can prep in like 12 weeks?
Oh man, no, I wish. Even see, like even for myself now, we did the DEXA scan and we did calipers. DEXA came in at 11.6, calipers came in at 12.8. So let's say if we're meeting right in the middle, we're about 12.5% body fat, which I don't think is very high. But even then, I'm comfortable prepping 24 weeks for a show.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a
Yeah.
really long prep.
Because like I feel like the biggest thing for me is being able to make sure that I'm maintaining every bit of muscle. I actually grow into my prep. So if you'll see my physique from the very beginning towards the end looks completely different. But I believe that it takes time for us to be
Hmm.
able to do that. And then that way, throughout this journey, I'm still able to keep the food high, which I believe is a huge component with being able to maintain muscle mass. And if not build tissue, we can like, I'm a big believer in the body being able to recomp itself during a process. Actually, one of the guys that I just posted on my Instagram, believe it or not, we're about 12 weeks into the prep. He is the same weight from the beginning to where he is now, but his physique looks dramatically different. Like has way more musculature. The lines are intact. He's pretty much almost there. Where before you can see that there was a little bit of less maturity to the muscle. He looked flatter. But it's just because we're able to really take our time with the prep. And the entire time I had him eating a good amount of food. So it was like that's why I believe in taking our time. If we rush the
But it,
process,
it, it was always like that, or you learned that over time? Did you do this? You always done 20 weeks prep, 24 weeks
yeah,
prep,
I
or
learned from
you
myself
done?
that
Okay.
so whenever you mentioned the prep for North Americans, I didn't do as long of a prep, and I felt like that's why my physique wasn't 100% crisp on stage. When I do the longer preps, so when I did the nationals in 2013, and I got tied for fifth there, and that was, I believe, my most complete physique as far as overall condition. I prepped for 24 weeks. Yeah. So nationals in 2015 when I got third with Sergio and Eddie. I prepped for 20 weeks. I felt like I still needed a couple more weeks, so that's why I do this way. But even then, like I'm not gonna lie, my physique back then, I hold a much different look, and I'm definitely far leaner now during these starting points than I was back then. I used to just let myself just eat up a storm, man, and get huge, not in the good way.
So what you're saying is that in the past you used to be more than 12% body fat all year long, probably.
One more time, I didn't catch that.
In the past, because right now
Yeah.
you
Oh
are
yeah. Oh yeah.
12%
Yeah. Yeah.
body fat. You probably were
Oh,
15,
definitely.
maybe.
100%. 100%. I would. in my own delusional mind, I probably thought that I was leaner. Looking back in these pictures, I definitely wasn't. I was like a poofy little, Michelin.
Oh man, that's amazing. One thing that is interesting about your journey, from at least from the past 10 years that I know you, is that I never seen any testimony or any post or anything from you about injury. It's almost like you've been training injury free for all these years. Is that really true? You never really got any injury?
Well, thank God I haven't torn any muscles or haven't anything serious happen to me. But I'm not. I haven't stayed injury free. I've dealt with some little, nagging things. I broke my wrist. So when this was in 2016, was it 2000? No, 2015. Whenever I was in Thailand, so I was riding a motorbike, fell, broke my wrist. That was like my first like real injury, and I'm not gonna lie, that has caused some issues over the last like 6 years. Nothing so super major, but it's like it'll throw some stuff off, right? Like and the reason being is like as this has healed, luckily I've been able to have full function to it, but I think psychologically and subconsciously, I'm still scared of like doing things and, picking myself up off the ground
Mm.
using this hand and things like that. And what that has done is I've developed compensation patterns. So through those compensation patterns, for example, like instead of using my hand to pick myself up, sometimes I'll just do like this with my elbow
Yeah.
and I'll get myself up this way because I don't want to. It's like subconsciously I become afraid of using the hand. And that has actually developed some issues with the shoulder, and where I actually had pulled like my trap, my rhomboid here on this side, serratus muscle. I pulled the serratus muscle, pulled the lat. So although I haven't had major injuries, thank God, and I hope to keep it that way. I have had some little nagging stuff that has kind of happened over time, and that's kind of kept me from also competing, in my opinion, over the last like few years or so, because it's like whenever I'm ready and then this would happen, then I'm like, all right, it's time to kind of back off because I don't like to get into a prep without actually feeling 100%.
Yeah. What do you? Why you think you kept yourself so healthy during all these years, knowing that you lift really heavy, and usually when you lift heavy, the likelihood that you're gonna have some sort of injury is really high, right? Knee injury, elbow, whatever. But what do you think is because you always focus on your form? Is because you always warm up? What are some of the things that you do to prevent injury?
So those two being the main two for sure. Making sure that proper form and technique is always in place whenever I train. I believe that's the number one component to minimizing the risk of injury. Period. Um, whenever I did stop like stretching and doing the little things, is actually when I feel like these little nagging things started to happen. So I make sure that I'm warming up properly. I make sure that I take time to do the other things. The other part that I feel like plays a vital role is doing the soft tissue work. Going to getting massages, doing grassing and cupping and things like that. And I look at it as this being an investment towards my body, and I make sure that I go and get it done at least the bare minimum twice a month. During a contest prep, I go once a week. So it's obviously an expense, but I believe that it's an expense well worth it, especially whenever I feel that it makes such a huge difference with my body. My body's able to recover from training, a lot more quicker. I just, because you have to like think about it, man. We're constantly contracting the muscle. It's just like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is constantly doing this, and we have to. One thing that I found, especially whenever I did the big bench series with Josh last year, and that was the most weight that I've ever pressed in my entire life. I was having to go and get grassing work done twice a week then,
Wow.
because because I just felt the beating on my body and the muscles being pushed, to a whole nother level that it's never been pushed to. I needed to make sure that something was being done to counterbalance all the contracting and the building, you're going to really build like these different knots and things and adhesions within the tissue that need to be worked out. It's like, think about it, like when the lactic acid and stuff kind of gets caught up in the muscle, it almost like creates like a glue like effect where it's not allowing the muscle to stay separated soft. It should always be soft to the touch. Although we're hard and dense, as far as like the overall look, it should still remain pliable. If it starts getting too like rock hard, then you start seeing these guys start, tearing things.
No, makes total sense. Yeah, that's a very good point. But over the years, there were a lot of skepticism, mainly from the bodybuilding community, about stretching. A lot of bodybuilders said, "Oh, don't stretch before workout; it's gonna, make you lift not so heavy or things like that." What is your take on that? It was all bro science, or over the years we really evolved to do more stretching, and now it's more
Yeah.
acceptable.
So definitely prior to your training, you want to do more dynamic work. So dynamic work is you're still kind of being able to elongate the muscle and work through some sort of stretching in a way, but you're moving in planes that would be that would apply to whatever it is that you're going to be doing to the training, right? So not static work.
Give an example. For example, if I'm going to work like
Okay.
chest, what should I do
Yeah.
prior to the lift?
Okay, so like for chest, for example, actually, before any upper body work that I do, I'll actually do some band work. So I'll go over and backs with the band. So I'll take like either a red band or a green band, something that's got some resistance, but nothing too crazy. Move through it, and then I do this thing what I call around the world. So I'll actually go here, pull through one side, bring it back, and then I'll do these rotations 10 times over. We'll do some pull-ups on the not just free pull-ups, but the assisted pull-up machine.
Yes.
So that way I'm able to just straighten it. It's not like I'm trying to focus and work the body so much. And then I'll superset that with some dips. And then I'll do that for like 3 or 4 sets. Just allow everything to kind of get warmed up and just get the joints ready. And then for dumbbells, I'll take some light dumbbells. I'll do what they call IYT raise. So we'll work through different planes. I'm laying on an inclined bench. Bring up the scapula. Come here. Work through this phase. Work through this plane. Work through this plane, and just work. Kind of just trying to work and move the shoulder around. Through different positions so that it's warmed up all the way through. So that takes usually like 20 minutes. Prior to my training session. That's before I get into even some of the warm-up sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the feeder sets moving forward, it's like start off low. Let's say, for example, I'm starting off with an incline dumbbell press. Start off with 50 pounds, feel the stretch, contract it slow, feel the stretch, do a few reps there, increase 20 pounds, do the same thing. I'm not exhausting the muscle by any means, but I'm getting the body ready for the heavier load moving forward,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not necessarily wasting any reps because I'm not doing a lot, because I already know where that top set is going to be from the previous week.
But you are doing, but
But
you are
you still need
putting
to allow your body
to warm up
to
and
to
have the
be
blood flow on that area.
exactly. And then same thing with legs, for example. With leg day, I don't do any static movement, but like I'll take a kettlebell and then I'll sit in there and move back and forth, right? Move from one side or the other, open up the groins, and then I'll do what I call stretch lunges. Go through. I'll do a big step on the lunge, make sure that I'm stretching everything, stretching the quad, the hip flexor on this side, stretching the hamstring on the opposite side. Get up and then go back and forth, do 3-4 sets of that, and then move into the compound movement and do warm-up sets leading into there. So this takes time.
Yeah.
But I believe it makes a huge difference with how your body's going to be able to respond and recover, from each training session.
Do you also do after the training any stretching?
After training, then we can do some static stretching.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're already done loading the muscle, putting it through a beating. Then we can, go in and actually hold some stretches. Some people say, like you mentioned, some people say that it doesn't necessarily do anything. But I've seen a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
I follow some pages on IG that are strictly about, doing stretching and stuff. And I can't discount the studies and the information that they're putting out
Yeah.
either. So I don't believe that it doesn't have any sort of benefit whatsoever. And I don't see why we shouldn't do it. I mean, it's just take an extra 10, 15 minutes a day to do it. I feel like it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah, and also it does make a difference a lot. I started doing that since I started doing jiu-jitsu because you have to do a lot of stretching for jiu-jitsu, and definitely it helps. And I believe it also helps to
Exactly.
prevent injury as well.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so
Total agree.
that's a important point to clarify because, as I said, for the past 10 years, thank God you've been extremely healthy and no major injury, and I know how heavy you lift. And sometimes I'm like, wow, that guy is a beast. I mean, the amount of weight that you put sometimes in some exercises. You post a couple weeks ago some bench press. I think it was
Yeah.
200 pounds dumbbell. It was a 200-pound dumbbell.
No,
What?
180s, but I got him for 10 reps.
Yeah,
So
that was great. In
yeah,
perfect,
I'm working on getting to
yeah,
200.
perfect form, which is
But
more
yeah,
important.
Josh and I, we got up to 575 flat bench for a top, which is, we were able to build my bench 125 pounds in 12 weeks.
Wow,
It was pretty crazy. Yeah.
wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, now that we talk about the training and we start talking about recovery, from the recovery perspective, Jonathan, how is I know that this will vary according to each person, but in your opinion, what is the sweet spot for sleeping? Is 6 hours, 8 hours? It depends on each person. For you, is more, but you know people that is less. Do you believe in power naps that help throughout the day? What's your take on that?
I love this. I love this. It's funny that we're even mentioning this. I truly believe that, I feel like the body will tell you what the optimal amount is. I Because if let's say for example, if you oversleep whenever your body's wanting to wake up, then a lot of times you actually end up being tired and sleepy
Exactly.
for the
That
whole day,
happened to me. Yeah, I
right?
hate to oversleep because I wake up actually tired.
Yeah. So I believe there's definitely a sweet spot, man. For me though, I won't compromise my sleep. So if I end up going to bed quite late, then I'm just gonna wake up later the next day. Like I don't, luckily God has given me the ability to be able to work on my own schedule. Praise the Lord. So it's like, but I usually average, between 7.5, 8 hours of sleep per day, and I know that if I'm missing sleep, my body does not it does not function the same way. It does not progress in the same way. And I definitely know that I'm not recovering as well either.
But don't you have like a
Um,
biological clock? Because at least to me, regardless of what time I go to bed, it's 5 a.m. I'm gonna be waking up 5 a.m. no matter what, even if I go to bed at midnight, just because my body immediately wakes me up.
yeah. I felt like I used to be that way, but I'm not gonna lie. Over the last couple months, because I've been training with Joe. Joe trains super late, and I live an hour away from the gym. So by the time we get done with the training and cardio, it's 11:30 here, and I have an hour drive to go home. I get home around 12:30. I probably end up eating my last meal around 1:30 before I go to bed.
Wow, wow.
And so it's completely thrown my circadian rhythm off. But again, I realized I'm like, you know what? It's just going to be a sacrifice that I'm gonna make for the meantime, of course. Uh, and I've been waking up a little bit later. I've been waking up around 9ish. Um, Hell, some days, man, like I end up having a lot of work to do before bed. I don't go to bed till 3:30 in the morning.
Wow,
Because
that's
it's like I,
crazy.
I I used to tell myself like I'll just wake up early and do it, but then I'm like, nah, I feel unaccomplished if I don't get it done before I sleep. So I just like I have to knock it out of the plan and get that these things finished and yeah, and then those days I end up freaking waking up at 10:30. You know,
Did you have
it
did you
sucks.
have a lot of difficulties to adjust when you were traveling, maybe before the COVID, because you were traveling a
Oh
lot?
my goodness.
Jet lag probably threw you off a lot of times.
Oh heck yeah, absolutely. So even whenever I was in Denmark here recently, it took me like 3 days to like back. get to normal. Like I remember the first couple days, I could not stop sleeping. My body, and it's weird how this happens, but I was just like, I just can't get up. I am exhausted. I can't figure out what times I need to actually go to sleep. And then I'd be waking up at shoot.
In the middle of the
Man, I'd be
night,
waking up
right?
at like four in the
Yeah.
morning. And I'm like ready to go. But summer times in Denmark, it's 4 in the morning. The sun is bright out. So it's like it can actually mess with you a little bit. Um,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
I was
crazy.
actually struggling a lot to get sleep out there.
Yeah, jet lag is something that it always had problems as well when I was traveling to Israel. But my strategy was as soon as I landed there, probably it was already nighttime in America. I just kept going until it was nighttime
Yeah,
there so I could sleep, right? So that was my way
yeah,
to force myself to adjust, you
yeah.
know.
I do the same. I do the same. Get a coffee because a lot of times it's red eye flights. So you're traveling, you get there in the morning, and absolutely. But still, it was weird. It would still take my body a couple days to get fully acclimated to the new time zone.
Yeah. Jonathan, one of the things that I'd like to cover also is because we touched this right in the beginning of the podcast, which is mindset. And you said something that I truly believe as well. You said most of the things are mental. How much of this mental game do you see playing around mainly during prep time, that you are hungry, that you are, you miss the sweets, for example? How do you think that the mental game is important? It's like 60%,
Oh,
70%, 100%?
100%, 100%.
Really?
No doubt about it. Because if your mind isn't there, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna give up. Especially when it comes to what we're doing. Getting ready to push your body to a level that it's not meant to be at. It's not normal for us to be at 3-4% body fat and literally have no subcutaneous fat around the body. Like you're going to be hungry, you're going to be tired. Your body literally has no reserve energy left in the tank. So it's like whatever it is that we give is what it's running through, as far as overall fuel. And once that's done, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be exhausted, and you have to accept that feeling. You have to understand that it's a part of the process. And if you continue to give in and cheat on your diet or skip workouts because whatever excuse you want to give yourself, then you're not going to get the result that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to be hungry. You have to be ready to be exhausted. These are two aspects, and of course you still have to be able to get into the gym and give it your all.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, mindset is very important. But you said something important is not, and I love this, it's not normal to be 3% body fat all year long. It's a stage that you want to accomplish probably for a couple of days, and then you're going to rebound. Now, this rebound process, sometimes people exaggerate, right? And then 1 week after the show, they are all bloated and they look like worse than they were before. How is your strategy to rebound?
Great, amazing question. So what ends up happening is people lose control of themselves. And I get it. You've been depleted. You've basically starved yourself, to a degree. If we're looking at it from just a physiological level, your body is being starved. And it wants food. It wants to reach homeostasis and reach that bit of equilibrium of where it's used to being. We need a little bit of fat in our body. But what ends up happening is it's like, some people just lose control. They become ravenous. They can't stop eating. And the body's just from every almost position, it's kind of thrown out of whack, right? Because especially when you've depleted yourself, you've dehydrated the body. Your body is electrolyte balance is completely thrown off. You have to be able to rehydrate the body first, make sure that aspect is taken care of, and you need to get right back on your diet so that you're not storing a bunch of unnecessary weight. and just make sure that your body is flushing itself properly. And then from there, then we can start increasing the food again,
Mm-hmm.
backtracking from the cardio. I don't necessarily believe in reversing per se. I believe that we can actually boost ourselves back up to your current new maintenance calories,
Yeah, a
which
lot
is
of people use
really
this term reverse dieting. So you don't believe on that?
yeah. Not necessarily. I don't, because I mean, if you just like bump up just a tad, you're still in deficit. We need to get you back up to maintenance. Get your body, as hormones and stuff kind of getting in check. You're not going to get fat, right? Because if we're looking at just from where you are as from like BMR and such, you should be able to kind of just still remain balanced there. You're going to gain a little bit of extra weight just from water, your body being able to retain the glycogen again, these other aspects of things, but it shouldn't spill you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people end up spilling over is when they just start eating just a bunch of crap,
Yep.
right? Mixture of high fat, high carb, and a lot of sodium. That is a recipe for disaster. It's going to throw your body off completely. So you got to make sure that whatever it is you're providing your body is good quality nutrients, and then you're slowly being able to reintroduce things over time so that you don't blow everything like
So
up.
this we are talking about at least 4 weeks post show to do this rebound.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's gonna take some time, like, because you should be a fresher version of yourself, maybe with a couple percentage extra body fat on, but you shouldn't look like you as if you didn't work out and prep for a show for the
Yeah,
last
because
16
there is
weeks.
a lot of coaches they actually use this rebound to make gains during the rebound because you are already in the lean mass state. So let's use this
Yeah,
momentum to continue to build, right?
absolutely. Yeah, of course, and it should, but it should be done the right way, right? You shouldn't gain 50 pounds on the scale. If you do, that man, you know how many health complications you can cause.
Mm-hmm.
You see guys end up in the hospital with heart problems, kidney problems, because your body just can't filter all of this. It's impossible, and it's extremely dangerous. You do it the right way, your body stays healthy, everything is flowing, and that's where you want it. You want to make sure that you're keeping everything right. I've made the mistake of blowing up, because I had no idea. No one told me about this. I had to experience it for myself, going from one weight on stage and then gaining 50 pounds, feeling like absolute crap, couldn't put on my clothes. You know, I didn't know that this was
Did
as
you
bad
say
as it was.
50 pounds?
Oh
You
yeah,
you gain 50 pounds post show in how many weeks?
50 pounds in like 2 weeks.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. Because I mean, it's like I'm just going out to eat. I'm hitting up buffets and stuff. It's like being stupid, being reckless. Where because again, no, I didn't. Of course, in my mind, you're not able to gain that much fat over such a short time frame. But by doing that, you're literally you're giving your body nothing to truly fuel itself, and it's just gonna go haywire.
Yeah,
And we see this
and
time
a
and time again.
lot of sodium too.
Exactly, exactly. Your body doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, well, that's super dangerous.
Very
I've
dangerous.
seen some horrible rebounds, and it's a complicated way to come back and to equalize again and start making some gains. So that's why I think that when people say reverse diet, it's not really reverse, as you said. It's not really a reverse diet. It's more the readjustment, and then use
Exactly.
that as your new baseline moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't like for me, like I'm not looking to bulk anybody, like in being in a huge excess of calories above maintenance. I believe that just being even slightly above maintenance is more than enough. You can keep the physique very lean, and your body will continue to recomp itself. You're actually going to continue to improve itself over time.
It is funny though that in the 90s, bulking was super normal, right? You see pictures of
Right.
Lee Priest on the, on a bulking phase, or even Dorian Yates on the bulking phase. I mean, those guys were gigantic, fat.
Yeah. Oh, over 300 pounds, massive. See, they'd have to lose, you know, 60, 70, 80 pounds to get in shape.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For what? It's you're literally going to give your body kidney failure. It's like because think about it, your body's having to shuttle all that nutrients out. you're probably breaking down a ton of protein in the process too. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that's good. I prefer nowadays, and probably that's the reason why I like a lot the class physique, because most of the time the class physique guys, they stay lean all year long.
Yeah.
Bodybuilders, they still using a little bit of this off season to bulk a little bit, but class physique, those guys are, I think it's very very lean all year long, because they just cannot grow that much anyway.
Right. Exactly. They can't afford to add the extra pounds. They have to stay within a specific weight class. For me, I've been super heavyweight for so long, that it's not about me really trying to reach or, reach a certain weight per se. It's just the look, which I prefer. I prefer to just focus on the look, because then that way I'm just putting in the work.
So what is your stage weight? For example, in 2018, what was your stage weight?
So 2018, I actually sucked down to be a heavyweight. My body was completely stressed out, and it looked like it, right? Like I just didn't have, because a week prior to me going to Vegas, my skin was super thin, vascularity all the way through, but I lost it all whenever I got there. And it was like I had this just film of water everywhere that wouldn't go away, and I had to go sit in a sauna, damn near killing myself to get down, to work my way down. So I weighed in around 223. But on stage, I was at like 235.
Did you ever think about dropping to the 212 class?
No, it's impossible. It's impossible. I'm just too big now. Like my physique doesn't look like, if the more I try to push my body, the worse it looks. Like it's better for me to be able to stay fuller and just wherever I come in and I'm completely peeled is where I need to stay.
So you don't have really a target as far as weight?
Nah. So like whenever we did my body fat, let's say if I'm at 0% body fat, I would weigh around 240. So obviously that's not the case. We're still going to have a couple percentage left over, but we want to be fat free on the outside. I would say, let's say if I end up losing even a little bit of muscle leading into the prep, if I weigh in at my height, just under 5'9", at 240, 245, like that's a quality physique. That's a pro level physique.
And that's 15 pounds more than you were in 2018.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But see, even whenever I did the USAs in 2016, I weighed in at 240. But what I would like to maybe possibly theoretically be the same weight, but have a totally different look. Be a lot harder, grainier, fuller.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for your time today. I know that you just got done with your workout. Great conversation, great insights. Really looking forward to see Jonathan 2021 on stage, to see what you're going to bring. I know that you're going to bring great things based on what you're doing now, preparing for that. So I'm looking forward to that.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Thank you all. And stay tuned on Overcome. We're going to have way more things for you. See you next time.